All right, Sag. So, like I said before in the preview, there's no reason to fear. Whatever anxieties that you're having right now, you're going to have to like set them aside because it's almost like self-sabotage. If you continue to fear around things that you are happy about or things that you are grateful for, eventually it's going to get to a point where your fears are realized and you don't want to do that. So gratitude is going to be the place where, you need to come from. So graveyard, and again, unnecessary fear, fearing things that you don't need to fear. And like I said, it says that you need to put that aside, otherwise it's going to haunt you long term, and you don't want to do that. But when you're looking at gratitude, it talks about needing to raise your vibrational level higher so that you're past those fears. It also says that if you're unhappy in any relationship, that this card reminds you it is always in your power to change it. And then it talks about how there is no mystery to being a good person. Good people just do good things. It talks about friendship, deep love, pregnancy, nurturing, unconditional love towards self and others, appreciation, recognition, esteem, or self-esteem. But I basically look at this as the anxieties and the fears that you have surrounding the good things in your life are going to be detrimental in the long run if you continue to have those fears and you continue to allow it to play out in your mind. So instead of focusing on that, you need to come from a place of, you know what, these are all the things that I'm grateful for. These are all the things that make me happy. And the other thing though too is I look at this and think that you have people that love you and care about you and support you, right? Be grateful for that. And, allow them to kind of help you get past those fears. But I just look at this as self-sabotage. Why is it that the good things in your life are things that you fear? All right, Sag. Here is your overall. The Four of Coins. Yeah. Okay. So with this being the overall, I look at that and I think for a lot of you, you're just trying to maintain right now. I mean, besides it being about somebody who's not willing to give anything, who's hoarding or being stingy, not wanting to share, it's really about somebody who's trying to maintain what level of stability they have gained. They don't want anything to change, and that is based out of fear because the next move after this is the Five of Pentacles, where you see that loss. So it's like, no, I have to maintain things the way they are. In the past, the Five of Cups. All right, that's not good. The Five of Cups being the past, we're talking about being emotionally hurt, being let down, being covered up in your sadness. So something in the past has made you feel really bad. But you're not allowing any room for change with that Four of Coins being the overall. Oh boy, I'm telling you, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I swear to God, it seems like everybody is dealing with relationship issues. Why does that shit not surprise me with fucking Venus and Scorpio? The lovers being in the present moment. For a lot of you, this is going to have to do with a very significant relationship. When I say that, what I mean is the lovers is, first of all, a major event. It's going to be one of those relationships that is going to change your life, whether it works out in the end or if it doesn't. It'll always be that one that you go back to and you go, I remember that. It has a lasting impact. But we're also talking about the major choices that you're making in these relationships. And with the lovers, it is about temptation or the moral high ground. But if it's based out of emotional disappointment, hurt, and being let down, it would make sense here that, there has to be a choice that's made so that there can be change rather than you maintaining things the way that they are. But I'm interested here and how that's connected to your environment. And here's the thing. The Wheel of Fortune being future conditions. Things are changing, absolutely. And I can understand why there is fear. But what if things are changing for the better here, but you're not allowing it in? Because there are things that you cannot let go of. There are things that you need to maintain just the way that they are. So I don't necessarily see this as a my God, if I could talk right, recycling. I don't see this as, the same kind of pattern or cycle happening again. The only reason why it would be the same situation over again where it leads you right back to emotional disappointment is because you're not allowing room for change. Now, the same can still be said, though, about, another person that you're dealing with, especially with the lovers being there. It could be that they're holding on to some bullshit from the past. But this is preventing things from changing in a better way. Your best path to follow, the 10 of coins or the 10 of pentacles. So it's really about what is going to be long-term and secure. And especially when it comes to the lovers, for those of you who are looking at relationship issues, this to me is like, we're going to grow old together and change each other's diapers. That is the 10 of pentacles for me when it comes to relationships. It is long lasting and you are secure with it. So this being your best path to follow, you need to think about, rather than, hanging on to, especially disappointing things from the past, you need to think about where you need to open up to allow change that is going to bring this long-lasting security and stability within a relationship. But it would make sense, right? Like, I get it. With the 5 of Cups coming through and the lovers underneath that, if somebody hurt you, for a lot of people, it's not that easy to just let go of. I still remember that, but I need to let it go because I want things to be, long lasting and secure, right? And allow better change to come through. Wow, man. Oh, in your environment, the Knight of Swords. And that one always gets to me because, it cuts deep, right? I look at the Knight of Swords and I think that this is about the kind of communication that needs to be done where it's not really about a response anymore. It's, you're going to listen to what I have to say and that's it. And with Sagittarius, it's blunt and it's straight to the point and it is the truth. But I think it's because, a lot of you have been really disappointed when it comes to, a very specific relationship. One in particular where it's a major event for you. It's a major relationship. And my question then is it coming back around for you? Are we looking at this relationship again? Are we needing to make choices, but are they based out of pain and disappointment and being let down? But man, right? It cuts deep. It cuts deep. And I think for a lot of you, that's kind of like the action that you're taking in the moment right now. Because again, we're hanging on to things. We're not allowing the change to kind of happen. But maybe that is what will open the door for you, is when you say your piece. But, then again, I would warn Sag, be careful. Be careful about the words that you choose, right? And then beyond that, as far as action, don't be too quick. Don't be too quick with this. Okay. Your hopes and your fears, the 2 of Swords. You are allowing the pain to tie your hands in a knot. So when you're looking at the 2 of Swords, first of all, the stalemate. Not being able to make a difficult choice. And I mean, look at it, There are things that you can no longer ignore. And you are going to have to make a very difficult choice. And I think that for you, the difficult choice here is letting go of all of that. Because it's all tied to the past. And what you have here is very different. Very different. The ending of a cycle, the beginning of a new one that could be long-lasting and secure for you. But, right? Like I said, I get it. That really depends on the type of pain that you were put through in the past. Damn, man. And then coming out in the world, not bad. I mean, it's perfect, right? But you have to be willing to open up. But I think that for a lot of you, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is when, you say something. And I think that is what's going to help you let go of this. And then there's going to be that major kind of closure, that chapter in your life coming to an end. Now, with the world, it's always a good thing. This is always the successful completion, right? But it's really about you needing to take the steps to get to that completion and that closure. Now, this could be, though, the end of this chapter in your life where this major relationship has come to its end, which is possible here. and then the Six of Swords. And I like it because to me, that saying that, I think that for a lot of you, you're willing to do what's necessary to move away from, the conflict of the past. So let's talk about the Ten of Wands. With the Five of Cups, absolutely, it makes sense. The pain and, all of the hurt emotions that are weighing on you involving this. But, one of the things that I always point out with this is that there's always a destination with this. So where is that destination for you? And the problem is we always say, well, when I get to this point, I'll be able to let it go. Or when this happens, I'll be able to let it go. But when is always in the future. It's never now. You're always pushing it to this point, this point, this point. It makes sense that this is what is, your burden, the Five of Cups, and having that, weighing on you. But you have to make the choice to say, I'm done with it and drop it, right? Because it's all about getting to the end of this chapter and to a new beginning. With the Sun and looking at the Lovers, first of all, there is life being breathed back into a situation. Okay? On top of that, especially with the Knight of Swords, this is like, let me show you the truth. Let me show you everything. But it comes out in a way where it cuts deep. And I get it, I understand, but I would say be careful about the words that you choose. Now, after that, you have the Six of Swords, and, with the way that it comes out, I feel hopeful about it. But again, it's all about whether or not you can open up to allow change to happen, to allow better circumstances. Having that wheel of fortune turn in a good way for you in this situation where we can get closure, we can get to the completion of everything that has happened up to this point. But it's all about, with the Six of Swords, whether or not you're able to move away from the conflict. Can you move away from that pain? Can you say, okay, I'm willing to move on from this now and move on to a better situation and change? I'm telling you. The beginning of yourself and your awareness expanding so that you can allow change. Fellow travelers, support is all around you. And then I go back to gratitude and I think, yeah, and then I want this one. Protected by angels. You are cherished by the angels. So you are protected. So no matter what happens, you're being protected through this. But you're not alone. You're not alone. Right? There is support for you. But I think fellow traveler, right? And one in particular that you're meant to take the journey on. Again, significant, very significant, major life event, major relationship. But I like seeing that you are protected. But it's all on you, Sag. It's all on you. Can you open up and allow change? Can you let go of the pain of the past? Right? And it's all about whether or not you can drop that burden of pain. Can you drop it? Or do you feel like there's a destination that needs to be reached first? Which would make sense with the long-ass road that you see in front of you, right? But we can get closure now, and that can be the beginning of a new road, right?